insanely fast 150 megabit Xfinity internet for just $35 a month for 12 months with no annual contract and free Wi-Fi equipment included. Go to Xfinity.com to switch today. Keep the magic going from your screen to the big screen. And see Wicked, only in theaters November 22nd. Restrictions apply. Requires Prevost bill and auto stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. After promo, regular rates apply. Currently $56 a month for internet service and $15 for Wi-Fi equipment. Actual speeds vary and not guaranteed.
Broadcasting from the Technology Recycler Studios, this is Indy's Mobile News, 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. The news starts now.
Picking up the campaign pace. I'm Kathleen Maloney, Fox News. During a rally in Atlanta, Georgia today, Vice President Kamala Harris telling young voters they can have a big influence on this election.
I love Gen Z. Because, see, this generation, you are rightly impatient for change. You are rightly impatient for change. You are determined to live free from gun violence and tackle the climate crisis.
Gen Z includes those born between 1997 and 2012, many of them first-time voters in this election. President Joe Biden on the Harris-Walz campaign trail in his hometown of Scranton, Pennsylvania. He praised a particular working group.
Unions built the middle class. Period. I mean it. There would be no middle class without labor. That's the God truth. That's why Kamala is so proud of the greatest job creation record of any single presidential term in American history.
The latest Real Clear Politics average of polls in Pennsylvania has Trump leading Harris by less than a point, and that's a statistical tie. Former President Trump making 2 campaign stops in North Carolina. First, in Gastonia.
I will bring back the American dream. We don't have the American dream. We had it. We had it. You know, we also had energy independence 4 years ago. This is all you need to know. Kamala broke it. She broke it. We will fix it. I will fix it.
The former president will hold a rally in Greensboro tonight after a stop in Virginia. A man believed to have fatally shot 2 people in rural areas of northern Austria this week was found dead today. Police say the body of Roland Dexler was discovered in Upper Austria province near the Czech border. They think he took his own life. America is listening to Fox News.
The world of business moves fast. Stay on top of it with the Fox Business Rundown every Monday and Friday. Fox Business reporters, anchors, and hosts will bring you beneath the stock market speculation and boardroom drama to tell you about the biggest business stories of today. Whether you're on Main Street or Wall Street, Fox Business is invested in you.
Listen to the Fox Business Rundown every Monday and Friday at foxbusinesspodcasts.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts.
It is time to take the quiz.
5 days a week, it's 5 questions in less than 5 minutes. We ask people on the streets of New York City to play along. Let's see how you do.
Including the pre-Super Bowl era, what NFL franchise has won the most NFL championships?
I'm going to say the Cowboys.
Good guess. I would say the Packers.
How'd you do? Exactly. These get tougher, so hang on.
Make sure you take the quiz every weekday at thequiz.fox. Thank you for taking the quiz.
U.S. intelligence.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
What he can't do. I'm Ryan Hedrick. Here's what's trending this hour. The state of Indiana calls Dr. Scott Mims a clear and present danger. The Indiana Medical Licensing Board has suspended his license. Investigators say Mims was not prescribing drugs like a doctor should and that he failed to use care and diligence when doing so. They say he performed surgeries with anesthesia without proper accreditation. He was charged with 114 counts of violating laws. Only 12,000 new jobs were added to the U.S. economy last month, says the latest jobs report from labor statistics. Indy economist Dr. Matt Will says the biggest issue with this report is the revisions to the last 2 job reports.
Down 112,000. So remember that good report we saw last month? We're talking about, are these anomalies? Are these real? They were anomalies.
Dr. Will tells Tony Katz today big tech companies like Amazon and Google are keeping the market up. Imagine having your debit card stolen at a funeral and later used at a Build-A-Bear workshop. Sasha Nixon reports that's what police say happened recently to one person in Bloomington.
According to officers, Amy Dowden stole the debit card from a woman's purse at the funeral chapel. She then used that card to buy more than $70 worth of product at the College Mall Build-A-Bear. And Bloomington police say this is not the first time that Dowden has committed this type of crime. In fact, multiple similar reports involving the woman have been made just this year.
On the level, on the go, and at WIBC.com. Now, here's your forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Tomorrow, clouds will be increasing throughout the day as a warm front crosses the state. Spot shower can't be ruled out later on, but most will remain dry, high temperatures in the lower 70s. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
As a caregiver, managing your loved one's health can at times be overwhelming. This is Tina McIntosh, president of Joyce House and co-host of the Caregiver Crossing radio program. In a moment, I'll share 3 tips to help you manage your loved one's medical care effectively.
Cardon and Associates offers the finest senior living options tailored to your loved one's needs. Reservations are now being accepted for new apartments at Copper Trace in Westfield. Visit cardon.com.
Tip number 1, keep a list of all medications, dosages, and schedules to ensure your loved one is taking their medication correctly. Second, attend doctor's appointments with your loved one when you're able. And finally, stay organized by keeping forms, notes, and other important documents in one secure place. More tips like this are available anytime at caregivercrossingradio.org. With new weekly content created by Joyce House and distributed in partnership with Network Indiana, we're an on-air and online support group for Hoosier family caregivers. Hear conversations with experts, access a library of online education, and more at caregivercrossingradio.org.
Save $40 before the holidays with Zero Res. 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at $129, plus $75 off duct cleaning too. ZeroResIndy.com.
No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures. Learn more at helpnokidhungry.org.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the Second Amendment, and this is the Gun Guy.
Boom, 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 boom. Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom. Bang, bang, bang.
With Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Gun Guy Show here on 93 WIBC. We're thrilled you're with us. Interesting afternoon downtown today. The Taylor Swift concert, I guess, is in its second iteration here tonight. Started last night. Another show tonight. I guess another one tomorrow night. I've been down here to do radio both evenings, and it is a little challenging to drive with the Swifties in town. Producer Jack is nodding his head in emphatic agreement. You know, we just had the FFA in town, the Future Farmers of America, and I can't help but notice that, and we're probably dealing with, you know, a similar, I mean, as far as the median age, you know, we're dealing with a somewhat similar demographic. You know, you got a lot of teenage kids with their parents, which is a lot of what I'm seeing among the quote-unquote Swifties. But, you know, the FFA kids didn't seem to have a big problem with things like, say, red lights and green lights and walk and don't walk. And they seem to have a pretty good grasp on those things. All the folks running around in predominantly shiny miniskirts seem to have much more of a problem with those issues, which makes getting around downtown a little frustrating. And I am proud to say I held my temper. It was a little irritating when you'd sit through 2 or 3 lights simply because pedestrians don't quite understand how they're supposed to traverse downtown sidewalks. But hey, here we are. We've got the Gun Guy Show and a lot to talk about, as we always do. It's actually my birthday today, and I am just obscenely old. I turned 67 today, which sounds just incredibly old. 3 years from 70, whew, that is pretty damn old. And you know, I was contemplating that. And listen, for my whole adult life, especially as I've, you know, gone through middle age and and beyond, apparently. I've worried about a lot of things, like what kind of shape I'm in or where my skill levels are in different areas. I worry about a lot of things more than my age, but man, you start getting to a certain number and it gets your attention. And for some reason, a quote popped into my head this morning. I woke up and let the dog out and was making coffee and was kind of contemplating my advanced old age. And a quote came to me that I had to look up to make sure I got it exactly right. I remembered it almost verbatim, but this is a quote from the beginning of the movie Act of Valor. And listen, if you haven't seen this movie, this is a pretty darn good movie. I would not call it, the best acted movie in the world. Nobody is going to, or did come out of this movie with, Academy Award nominations. But it's a story of a SEAL Team 7, I think they were. And it starts with the assassination of the ambassador to the Philippines, I think, the U.S. ambassador to the Philippines and members of his family. And then there are CIA agents who get kidnapped and one is held and tortured, and the SEAL team's deployed to go rescue these folks. And what was interesting is when you read a little history on this movie, they brought in some real SEALs, some real Navy SEALs, to act as consultants on this movie. And what they realized pretty quickly in gearing up to start filming this movie is that none of the actors could carry out some of the action scenes, some of the shooting scenes, some of the use of weapons scenes like the real Navy SEALs could. And I don't know whether they made this decision on the fly or whether it was more planned than this. What I've read seems to be it was more of a spontaneous decision, but they actually decided to have a lot of these real SEAL team members act as characters on this particular SEAL team. And it makes for some really good, well done action scenes in terms of weapon manipulation and reloads and some of the stuff that you see in this movie. It's pretty darn good. But the reason I thought of this movie as, again, I was contemplating my advanced old age today is at the beginning of the movie, one of the main characters plays a character, Lieutenant Rourke. And the actor who plays this, his first name's actually Rourke something, so they injected that into the movie. But it's Lieutenant Rourke, and he's writing a letter. And I went back and I looked this up to make sure I got the quote exactly right. But it's something that's always stuck with me since I read this, and it's even a concept that I've thought a lot about throughout my whole adult life. And this just perfectly put it into words. But the quote out of the movie, as again, this character, Lieutenant Rourke, is writing a letter, and he says, "Before my father died, he said the worst thing about growing old was that other men stopped seeing you as dangerous. I've always remembered that, how being dangerous was sacred, a badge of honor. You live your life by a code." And when I heard that, and this movie came out in 2012, so hey, I was in my 50s when I heard that, but man, that just hit me. It's really true. You go through your life and you have a certain self-image, and you realize you get to a certain age and you wonder, do people see me as still being quote unquote dangerous? And for a lot of us, going through life, it's always been part of our self-image is to just feel like you're someone that someone would have second thoughts about confronting. And really, it's a way of keeping the peace. It's a way of going through life without conflict, not instigating conflict. But as you get older, you realize not only there's a real issue as to whether someone sees you as dangerous, but are you in fact dangerous? And that leads into the discussion of how is it that we can maintain that level of dangerousness throughout our lifetimes. And this is for all people. This isn't for men only by definition, not even close. It's for all ages. But it's something to really think about and focus on, which is as a means of really, in my mind, preserving the peace, preserving your own safety, the safety of your family, the people around you. There's, in my mind, a great importance on this idea of continuing to be dangerous. And when I say dangerous, what am I even talking about there? Am I talking about going around, instigating conflict with people? Am I going around talking about picking fights? You talking about, hurting people that aren't able to defend themselves? Of course not. It's exactly the opposite of that. It's the idea that there's evil in this world, and it's so much, so much about the gun control debate that I talk about all the time here on the Gun Guy Show. So much of that, if you're on the side of gun control, you're on the side of taking gun rights away from law-abiding citizens, then in all likelihood, you live in this fairy tale world where as long as there's a cop 10 minutes away, or 15, whatever the response time is where you happen to be, then you're okay and you're perfectly fine. And there's no reason why anyone should be concerned about actually having the capacity to defend themselves, their own home, and their own family. That's just unnecessary. They live in this unrealistic world that doesn't acknowledge that evil simply exists in this world, and that there are times when there's no one to save you. There's no one to rescue you. You are your own first response team. And either you're going to have the capacity to defend yourself, defend your family, defend your home, or you're not. And listen, that doesn't mean, as gun owners, we wake up every day. Do we wake up thinking, wow, today I'm going to be attacked. Today I'm going to have to use force to defend myself. Today I'm going to have to use deadly force. Today I'm going to have to pull my gun. Of course not. You don't wake up with that expectation. But I've mentioned this particular quote before, too, and this is also something that stuck with me my entire lifetime since I heard it. And this was something that was said and recorded back in the 70s. And it was from the founder of Gunsight, Colonel Jeff Cooper. And I saw this in a video, and I've mentioned it here. In fact, I've mentioned it on the show even more recently, but it's worth reviewing, which is he said in this video that I watched a long time ago. He said, when I get up in the morning and I'm getting dressed, and I put on my belt, I put on my holster, and I holster my gun, I say to myself the same thing every morning. I say to myself, I don't think today's going to be the day, and I hope today's not the day, but today could be the day, and if today's the day, I pray to be ready. And that to me is the mindset. Is you don't expect it, you don't believe it's going to happen, you just want to be prepared. And that in my mind factors into this same concept of being dangerous. Dangerous simply means that you have the capacity to defend your own self, your own life, your own safety, your family, and your home with violence if necessary, with fully justified, fully legal, fully ethical, violent, deadly force if necessary. That, to me, is the concept. And I'm going to talk a lot more about this, and I'm going to talk about how we can maintain that level of dangerousness, irrespective of age, obviously within some boundaries. Talk more about this, and as we always do, take your calls throughout this show. We're a little past the quarter hour. We'll take a break. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show. Give us a call. Give me your thoughts on what I just talked about. We're going to talk about training. We're going to talk about maintaining our level of dangerousness. Because, again, this quote, the worst thing about growing old was that other men stopped seeing you as dangerous. Well, I don't much care about how people see me, but I care about having the capacity to defend myself, my family, my home, and if it comes to it, my country, and my liberty. That's what we're talking about. Give us a call, 317-239-9393. That's 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
You're not married, right?
No.
After a certain time being married, you realize that sleeping in separate beds, a genius idea.
Well, that's just not very romantic at all.
We're not talking about romance. We're talking about rest. And if you want something that's not romantic, be in a relationship where nobody's getting any rest. By the way, my wife and I do not have separate beds. She can't get enough of me.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Guy Relford for Indiana Gun Club. You know, Indiana Gun Club is Indy's premier shotgun club. They're located in Fortville, just minutes from Indy. They've got over 2,000 guns in inventory. They've got a great clubhouse with a great selection of shotguns, pistols, and rifles, as well as accessories, ammunition, everything you need, whether it's home defense, shooting sporting clays, trap, or skeet. They've got all of that. The club sits on 150 acres. They offer trap, skeet, sporting clays, and 5-stand. They're open to the public. You don't have to be a member. They got plenty of parking. They even have campground hookups. They host tournaments, registered shoots for any number of different organizations, including one of my favorite, Organization for Kids, the Scholastic Clay Target Program. They will also book all kinds of events. Sporting clay events are really the most popular. You can come out and have a corporate event, your fundraiser, a political fundraiser, or otherwise, charity fundraiser, team building exercise, client relations, even bachelor parties. They can accommodate up to 120 people per session, and it's a heck of a good time. I've been to several events out there, and it's always a blast. They can cater in a beautiful, wonderful meal. The events coordinator up there, Gordon Gamilla, a good friend of mine, is an expert trained chef, and he will set you up for a meal like you won't believe, and it's a lot of fun. It's a great place to have your event or just show up and either learn how to shoot sporting clays, trap, skeet, 5-stand, or have a lesson. Show up with your team, your friends. I've done all of that. It's a great time. Check them out at indianagunclub.org. I've gotten that wrong here on the show a couple of times. It's indianagunclub.org, located in Fortville.
Hey, it's Rob. If you want to grow your hair back, check out the precision and accuracy of the Artis Robotic FUE at We Grow Hair Indy. You'll be amazed at the permanent natural results you can get and get back to work ASAP. Darren Andrews, Clinic Director of We Grow Hair Indy, is here to tell us more.
The Artis Robotic FUE hair transplant at We Grow Hair Indy, one of the most sophisticated hair transplant procedures available. The accuracy and the precision of the Artis Robotic FUE is what clients love the most. Get the results you want with our Artis FUE or multi-unit hair grafting procedure.
Don't wait. Call today and find out more about the Artis Robotic FUE at WeGrowHairIndy.com. Call 317-522-2995 for your hair evaluation. 317-522-2995 or go to WeGrowHairIndy.com and grow your hair back today.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
Go with your gut. Your dog's immune system is based in the gut. A diet lacking in nutrients can cause itching, scratching, and a weak immune system. However, there is a solution. DINOVITE. Dinovite.
It took a grand total of 2 weeks. The dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out.
Try Dinovite for free. Just pay shipping and handling. Learn more at dinovite.com/radio.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dinovite.
JMV here. Miss Sims Home and Garden has everything you need to finish fall outright. Come find the best fall selection of nursery stock in Johnson County and save when you buy. Miss Sims has 30 to 50% off trees and shrubs. That's right, all trees and shrubs at least 30% off. Enjoying all the fall colors around your area. Add them to your landscape now for color this fall and next season as well. Miss Sims, located on State Road 135 south of Whiteland Road in Bargersville.
Guy Relford here. Time again for the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show this coming weekend at the State Fairgrounds, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There's never been a more important time to exercise our rights as true Americans. It's the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show. See the best in sporting, hunting, and personal protection gear, plus great displays of Americana. Come see us this weekend at the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show, Friday 2 to 7, Saturday 9 to 6, and Sunday 9 to 4. It's the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show. See you there.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Hi, this is Richard Stevenson. Need heating service in Johnson, Morgan, or Hendricks County? Give us a call, 317-557-8532.
Stevenson Heating and Cooling is your independent American Standard air dealer.
The Indianapolis Public Library. More than just books. Visit your local branch today.
Second to none on the Second Amendment. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. Talking a little bit about this idea of, throughout your lifetime, staying dangerous. And again, this is about lawful, justified, ethical, preparedness, and capacity to defend yourself. I mean, that really is what gun ownership is about, and not just gun ownership. People that train in martial arts, people that spend a lot of time in the gym, people that box or work on other hand-to-hand skills. It's multifaceted, and frankly, I don't know that anyone should limit themselves to one area. Being a gun owner doesn't mean you're never going to have to go hands-on with someone. Being incredibly skillful at going hands-on with someone doesn't mean you won't have to defend yourself, defend your family with more lethal means. You're talking about different distances, you're talking about multiple attackers, or any number of different issues. It's not one size fits all. It's not one is better than the other. To me, it's about being well-rounded in each of those areas. But it's so funny, we as gun owners get portrayed in so many different ways. And, especially on social media. This happens to me. I mean, hell, I have a show called The Gun Guy Show, right? And so people attack me in all these different ways. And I've talked about some of this here on the show before. But these people think they're just getting this great digging on me. Oh, they're just, wow, I just really laid waste to this dude. Doing things like, and this is my favorite, they'll call me the term ammosexual. Oh, this dude, he's ammosexuals with their gun fetishes. And I always respond to that in the same way, and I'll say, oh, hold on, let's break this down a little bit. Ammosexual. Are you using that term because it's insulting in your mind because it sounds like homosexual? Because I don't consider that to be offensive. I mean, I am very happily heterosexual, but I don't associate any negativity with someone who has a different sexual preference than me. And I'm not getting into a biblical discussion here or any of that, just in terms of my own moral sense. Individually, I don't think it's insulting. It doesn't bother me if you're somehow associating me with that by calling me some word that in your mind sounds like something you think should be insulting, because I don't find that insulting. Or by using the term ammosexual, are you actually suggesting that I have a sexual attraction to ammunition? Because that's really odd. It's an odd thing to even pop into your head. I mean, I don't know. When you have a whole ammo can full of shiny brass-cased ammo, is that pretty attractive? Yeah, but I don't know that creates any physical urgings in me, right? I can admire it and go, damn, that looks pretty good. But there's nothing sexual about it. So why is it, and people use that term, you think it's insulting. You think that's some huge dig and I should be somehow devastated by that insult. And then the ones they go right to from there is always, I'm a gun owner because I'm compensating for insecurity about my manhood, or even the size of my genitalia. I mean, how many times, if you're a gun owner, I'll tell you, you're out on social media, you will get that one. And I'm like, how odd. I choose to exercise a constitutional right. I choose to have the capacity to defend myself, my family, and my country if called upon. And you want to talk about my physical characteristics? I mean, how weird, how odd of you. And for you to think that's an insult, that's just going to sting me. Oh, yeah, I must be insecure. No, it's just goofy, it's silly, and you laugh it off. But we get insulted in all those different ways. People who are afraid of guns or don't care for guns, don't have enough confidence in their ability to handle a gun safely and effectively, want to turn around and insult those of us who are very comfortable with firearms, who are trained and proficient in firearms, and even train others. And I mean, who's the insecure one here? I don't think it's us. But what we're really talking about in terms of that desire to be dangerous, it simply means having that not only capacity but willingness to bring brutal and, if necessary, deadly force to bear in the protection of our loved ones and our home and ourselves if necessary. Only when legal, only when justified. That's what we're talking about. And I'm talking about how we can maintain that and throughout the show. But in the meantime, we've had several people call in. And by the way, I've spent quite a bit of time down here or calling in over the last couple of weeks talking about the Delphi trial. And listen, I'm happy to answer more questions. If you haven't been joining Hammer and Nigel, it wasn't for the whole darn show, 3 to 7 every day. But Donnie Burgess, who is just such a fabulous reporter, has created multiple award-winning documentaries here at WIBC. But he's been covering the Delphi trial for the newsroom here at WIBC. And some people around here at the station have dubbed him Delphi Donnie. That's a little limiting. I mean, he's not just a guy who covers one trial. He's done a heck of a lot more than that, and he's an incredibly talented guy. And I expect Donnie to continue to go on and do incredibly great things in his broadcast journalism career. But he's done an amazing job covering the Delphi trial, and what we've been doing every day at 5:06, and this I think will continue throughout the trial. Now, we're at a little past more or less halftime of that trial because the prosecution has rested, meaning they've done with their case in chief, their original presentation of evidence. And the defense now is calling its witnesses. But after the defense is done and they rest, you're not necessarily done because the prosecution has what's called rebuttal. And they can put on more evidence that rebuts evidence the defense team puts on. And then theoretically, the defense can come back with quote-unquote surrebuttal or some additional evidence beyond that. Now, the rebuttal has to be limited to the evidence brought in by the defense. The surrebuttal has to be limited to the evidence that is confronting the evidence that came in during rebuttal, so it gets narrower and narrower, and eventually you're done. And judges have little patience and lawyers who try to hold things back to bring them in rebuttal or surrebuttal that should have been in their case in chief. But what we're talking about is we're now into the defense's case in chief. And what Donnie and I have been doing every day on the Hammer and Nigel show at 5:06 is Donnie comes in, reports on that day's happenings. He's in a pool where only so many and a very limited number of reporters are allowed in the courtroom every day, but the local media have agreed to pool their resources and share the notes that came out of that day in the courtroom. And then they each get, in fact, Donnie's in the courtroom today. They may be wrapped up by now, but apparently they're having court on Saturday. And Donnie's time was in the courtroom today. But Donnie and I have been going on at 5:06, and Donnie reports on the happenings in the courtroom. Then I add perspective as a defense attorney. And have I tried criminal cases? Yes. Now, do I focus primarily on Second Amendment gun-related cases? Yes. But that's no different in terms of simply trying a case as a criminal defense attorney than any other kind of case. So I've been offering commentary as a trial lawyer and defense attorney, and we're getting really nice commentary. People on social media have been very, very complimentary, but we've talked a lot about what's going on there because there are some very firearm-specific questions that have arisen out of that trial. If you've got questions about that, you want to raise that. In fact, I see a couple of callers have raised those issues as they're calling in. Be glad to go into that as well. And we're going to come back to our general theme for tonight, which is, again, staying dangerous. What do we mean by that? How do we do that? Continue to talk about that throughout the show. Right now, we're taking a break. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
Sadly, people don't carry cash anymore.
I don't carry cash. No. It's better, especially if you live in a metropolitan area, that you don't have to carry cash.
That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, and you should be ashamed of yourself. Well, men carry cash, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, stop it.
So how much cash do you have on you right now?
Nothing. None. No. Don't need it. I'm digital, man. I'm digital. Man.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Everyone's talking about Galaxy Concrete Coatings and their transformation, like your neighbor Brett.
We did Galaxy for the sidewalks and also the porch. The porch had a few pits. Galaxy said that was no problem.
Home or business, Galaxy Concrete Coatings got you covered.
Obviously with the front sidewalk and step, so we didn't worry about any kind of slipping. You know, you're concerned about that after rain. And then when it did dry, it didn't spot, it didn't stain. It was just like it had been done yesterday.
Lots of styles to choose from. 4 times stronger than epoxy and a 15-year warranty.
One thing that my wife commented on was how easy the Galaxy coating swept versus just the bare concrete.
Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com now. That's Galaxy Concrete Coatings. And remember to like us on Facebook. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. We're out of this world.
We moved here recently. I didn't even think twice about calling anyone else but Galaxy to come do this house.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Can you hear me? So can your customers.
Get your message heard. Text business to 71007 now.
Get results with Radio 1.
To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone.
Done.
By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by Stevenson Heating and Cooling, your independent American Standard air dealer in Mooresville.
Fox News, I'm Paul Stevens. Former President Trump on the campaign trail today in Gastonia, North Carolina.
I will bring back the American dream. We don't have the American dream. We had it. You know, we also had energy independence 4 years ago. This is all you need to know. Kamala broke it. She broke it. We will fix it. I will fix it.
Mr. Trump with another planned North Carolina rally later today. Meantime, Vice President Kamala Harris talking about the economy.
I intend to earn the vote of everyone, and I don't take anyone's vote for granted. And my highest priority as president will be to bring down the cost, because to that point, look, I know the cost of groceries is too high still. Everyone knows it. And so my plan includes what we're going to do in terms of taking on corporate price gouging.
The vice president earlier this morning in Milwaukee. America's listening to Fox News.
As summer fades and the cool breeze of fall sets in, it's the perfect time to get back to the basics, especially when it comes to your financial future. At Howard Bailey Financial, we believe in simplifying your retirement plan. Our team of advisors help you build a customized retirement strategy that is designed to help reduce risk, increase income, and mitigate tax. Whether you're just starting out or looking to refine your plan, we're here to guide you every step of the way. It's never too early or too late to make sure your financial future is secure. Text BASICS to 888-494-5004 to download your complimentary retirement planning toolkit today. That's BASICS to 888-494-5004. Howard Bailey Financial. Back to the basics. Forward to your future. Howard Bailey Securities LLC is an independent financial services firm and uses a variety of different investment strategies. Please see disclosures at howardbailey.com.
Guy Relford here. Time again for the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show this coming weekend at the State Fairgrounds, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There's never been a more important time to exercise our rights as true Americans. It's the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show. See the best in sporting, hunting, and personal protection gear, plus great displays of Americana. Come see us this weekend at the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show, Friday 2 to 7, Saturday 9 to 6, and Sunday 9 to 4. It's the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show. See you there.
We all have someone we love, like the favorite lyric in our favorite song. You can't imagine life without them. Cancer screening tests can help keep the person you love around longer by detecting changes before cancer develops, or catch it early when it may be easier to treat. And many tests are available for free or are covered by insurance. It's time to sound like a broken record. Tell all your friends and family, I love you. Get screened. Visit cancer.org/getscreened to learn more.
The show about gun rights, gun safety, and responsible gun ownership. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. And we're going to go to the phone lines. And I got to tell you, we had a caller, our first caller tonight, I think his name was Drew. And he talked to producer Jack and had a really interesting question that I'm sure relates to the Delphi trial. Based on the notes that producer Jack put up on the screen, he wanted to know if a misfired cartridge could still have extraction marks or tool marks on it. And Drew, I'm disappointed you hung up, buddy, because I was looking forward to taking your call. But this is something that I think it bears some discussion. And what are we talking about? In the Delphi trial, we'll take a little time out here and talk about Delphi. In the Delphi trial, there was what some folks in the media are starting to call the magic bullet, which I think is a disservice to the real magic bullet associated with the Kennedy assassination. That's a whole nother topic. But there was this unfired cartridge is the correct term. It was being called an unspent bullet by lawyers and the media early on, and I think they've figured out that's not the right term because it was a complete cartridge. It had all the components. Still had the bullet, which is the projectile. It had the shell casing, the gunpowder, and the primer. And it was allegedly found between the bodies of the murdered girls, Abby and Libby. And through tool mark analysis, which has been around for quite a while, where you can look at the marks left by a harder piece of metal on a softer piece of metal, and to the extent that tool, or in this case, the different components of a firearm slide, of a semi-automatic, left markings on the shell casing, then the theory goes that you can identify the particular firearm that left those marks. And the marks we're talking about is once the cartridge is in the chamber of the gun, if you either fire that gun, well, now the bullet goes downrange, the gunpowder is burned, the primer is dented and expired, and through the action of the semi-automatic firearm, through the brilliance of John Moses Browning, the extractor, a little claw that hooks on the rear edge of the cartridge, pulls it out of the chamber, and as it comes rearward through the slide coming rearward under the force of the cartridge having burned its gunpowder, then another piece, the ejector, which can be just a flat face, or in some firearms, some shotguns, it's actually an arm. But anyway, it's what kicks it out of the ejection port of a semi-automatic firearm. And both the ejector and the extractor can leave marks on that soft, oftentimes brass, shell casing. And the theory goes that you can match those to a particular gun. In this case, the state police had a witness come on, put on by the prosecution, that said, yes, I examined this unfired cartridge found at the murder scene, and it came out of Richard Allen's gun. But what was fascinating, I talked about this a lot last week, and I won't repeat that discussion, but I was fascinated to hear from Donnie Burgess, reporting from the courtroom, that this same expert from the state police said, well, I couldn't by simply racking the slide, which is allegedly what Richard Allen did. We know he didn't shoot the cartridge out of the gun. He didn't fire that cartridge. It was unfired. So if it was in the chamber of the gun, now it could have just been in the top of a magazine. You take the magazine out of the gun. Can you spit that first round out of the magazine? Sure you can. Easy to do. Hold it in your hand, push it forward with your thumb, pops out. If that's been chambered before and taken out and then put back in your magazine, a lot of times top round in my magazines have, I'm sure, some extraction marks on them because I'm all the time swapping out that top round. Why? Because you load the magazine, you chamber a round, you top off the magazine, you carry your gun. If you're going to then unload that gun at some point, you take the magazine out, you unchamber the round, you eject it, you set it off somewhere, and the next day you put the full magazine or almost full magazine into the gun, you rack the slide, and then you top off the magazine with a round that yesterday was in the chamber. So you're swapping those top two rounds all the time. You need to be careful with that because by repeatedly chambering a round, you can compress the round, the bullet can get a little more tightly seated. You got to keep an eye on that your rounds are staying in spec. And sometimes it's just time to go shoot up your defense ammo. To one, test your gun. Two, test your accuracy with your defense ammo. And three, because it's just time to shoot that ammo up and put fresh ammo in your gun. But my point in all of this is this cartridge was found at the crime scene, was matched to Richard Allen's gun, but the same expert said, well, by simply racking the slide to eject the round, I couldn't create sufficient marks on the gun, on the cartridge rather, to compare. Couldn't do it. So I had to fire the gun, which is going to put substantially more force behind that gun as the slide comes back, both for the extraction marks through the extractor and the ejection marks through the ejector. I had to fire the gun to get sufficient marks on the test cartridges to compare to the cartridge found at the crime scene. Well, isn't that apples and oranges? You did what Richard Allen supposedly did, which is simply rack the slide. How do you explain how he left sufficient marks on that cartridge by simply racking the slide when you couldn't leave the same marks? And by the way, I had some very smart people contact me on social media and say, hold on, how do we know this wasn't a reloaded round? In other words, the round had been fired, perhaps in Richard Allen's gun, and then reloaded, meaning you put a fresh primer in it, you resize the casing, you clean the casing, you put more gunpowder in it, you seat a new bullet in it, now you got a reloaded round of ammo. A lot of people reload their own ammunition, save a lot of money from buying, compared to buying factory ammo. Could that have happened? I haven't heard anybody exclude the possibility it was a reload. But going back to Drew's question, when he called in, I was fascinated to think about this and go into it. Could a misfired cartridge also have extraction and ejection marks? The question he said, as he phrased it to producer Jack, was just leave tool marks. And the answer is sure. And what are we talking about, by the way? Misfire is a term that gets misused all the time. I have a specific definition of misfire. What's a misfire? You pull a trigger, the gun goes click. It's typically a malfunction of ammunition, not the gun. It could be caused by a malfunction in the gun. Malfunction in the gun. What are we talking about? The striker or the firing pin goes forward. It hits the primer of the cartridge, but the cartridge doesn't fire. Happens a lot in rimfire ammunition, like .22. Especially mass-produced .22. You have a lot of misfires. It can also be a malfunction of the gun. Malfunction of the gun. A lot of times, semi-automatic guns just get really dirty. And like for a lot of semi-automatics, there's a striker channel that the striker has to move through as it comes forward to strike the primer on a cartridge. If that gets all gunky, and a lot of times if you over-lubricate your gun and then shoot it a bunch, you can create a lot of gunk, essentially, in that striker channel. The striker, under the power of the striker spring, has to fight its way through that. You get a light primer strike. Now the gun doesn't fire because you didn't get sufficient force behind the striker to hit the primer so as to cause the cartridge to ignite. You could have weak striker springs. So there can be gun-related issues, or it could be primer ammunition-related issues. But so that happens. You pull the trigger, the gun goes click. So what do you have to do? You have to rack the slide, eject that round, put another round into your gun, and hopefully it fires the next time. Could that have then extraction marks on it or tool marks on it? To answer Drew's question, And Drew, I wish you'd stuck around because I think it's a really interesting question. Yeah, sure, absolutely. But you would know, in all likelihood, that was a misfired round. Why? Because you'd have a striker dent in the primer, what we call a striker hit, or a striker dent. And by the way, that striker can leave its own tool mark. Now, if you have a severely defective gun, you have a broken firing pin, a broken striker, could it leave no dent in the primer on a misfired round? Sure, that can happen too when you've got a severe defect in the gun. But I just think that's interesting. Could this have been a misfired round? Potentially, but that also assumes that somebody pulled the trigger and the girls were not shot. Could it have been that there was a misfire, the gun didn't function? That's when the perpetrator, whether it's Richard Allen or not, decided to use a knife to kill the girls. Also an interesting question. But I'll tell you what, we've gone well past the 3/4 hour. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. If you have questions, again, about what's going on in Delphi, be glad to answer those. Go back to our theme a little bit here tonight, talking about staying dangerous. Men, women, all of us. Let's stay dangerous. How do we go about doing that? We'll get back into that when we restart the Gun Guy Show here on 93 WIBC.
This could be one of the most consequential votes of our lifetime.
Who will be our next governor?
U.S. Senator.
Our next president. Who will represent us in the General Assembly?
You have a voice with your one vote.
Unhappy with the current state of affairs? You can do something about it.
Voting is one of our most important rights as Americans.
It's how you can stand up for your beliefs,
your values,
and for future generations.
A reminder to make your vote count on November 5th.
November 5th.
November 5th.
From WIBC
and Urban One.
Guy Relford for RockOp Defense Solutions. You know, we've got a high-end AR manufacturer right here in central Indiana, and I'm really thrilled these guys are open for business. It's RockOp Defense Solutions, located in Avon. They're making fighting rifles, whether for law enforcement or for civilians. They're making some of the nicest AR platform rifles out there. I know because I own one. I have my Rock 15, an absolutely beautiful rifle, some of the highest standards of manufacturing I've seen. It's my favorite trigger in it. They mashed the trigger to specifically what I wanted. They have since gone back and we've upgraded it. I SBR'd it, meaning I turned it into a short-barreled rifle once I got my tax stamp. They even helped me with that upgrade, replace my barrel, and they were fabulous to work with. Helped me fit my optics to it. And it is now an absolutely outstanding fighting rifle. I'm thrilled to have it. And I love the fact that it was all provided by a absolutely top-end AR manufacturer right here in central Indiana, located in Avon. That's RockOp Defense Solutions. You can check them out at rock-opdefense.com. That's rock-opdefense.com.
If you can plan barbecues and weddings, you can plan to protect yourself from a natural disaster. Sign up for local alerts, prepare an emergency kit, and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Here is Jiffy Lube of Indiana's COO, Lonnie Hinkle.
Lots of Hoosiers belong to unlimited car wash programs because they want their car to look great. At Jiffy Lube, we're here to help you make sure your car runs great. So to help take care of your car inside and out, Jiffy Lube is offering everyone who belongs to a monthly car wash program a $20 discount and a free tire rotation from now through the end of the year. Just point out your car wash sticker and we'll do the rest. My Jiffy Lube teams are maintenance experts. Our computer system provides all of the manufacturer's maintenance recommendations for every make and model of vehicle, so we know exactly what every car needs to operate at its best. Jiffy Lube is your trusted one-stop shop for all that your car needs to run well for many years. You never need an appointment, and we now offer brakes, tires, tune-ups, and minor repairs at most stores. So stop in on your way to the car wash, save $20, plus get a free tire rotation just for belonging to a monthly car wash program.
Jiffy Lube. Nobody does it better.
Barrington Jewels believes in the timeless value of exquisite craftsmanship. Discover stunning collections for engagements, weddings, and more. Whether you're looking for the perfect diamond or a unique pre-owned piece, the expert staff at Barrington Jewels is here to guide you. Visit today to find the jewelry that will last a lifetime. Visit Barrington Jewels today or shop online at barringtonjewels.com. And remember, you haven't seen a diamond until you've seen a Barrington diamond.
This November, Indianapolis will play host to one of the most prestigious culinary competitions in the world, the World Food Championships. From November 8th through the 12th, the city will welcome over 300 cooking teams, battling in 12 unique food categories.
All of this is going down at the Indiana Farm Bureau Fall Creek Pavilion. It's inside the Indiana State Fairgrounds. Food samples, cooking demonstrations, celebrity chef appearances, family fun zone, and more. To learn more or buy tickets, visit worldfoodchampionships.com.
Great news! Indy Rhino Shield has partnered with Green Sky Financing to offer affordable monthly payments with 0% interest loans to qualified customers. Call 888-RHINO-41 for details.
Go with your gut. Your dog's immune system is based in the gut. A diet lacking in nutrients can cause itching, scratching, and a weak immune system. However, there is a solution. DINOVITE. Dinovite.
It took a grand total of 2 weeks. The dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out.
Try Dinovite for free. Just pay shipping and handling. Learn more at dinovite.com/radio.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dinovite.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Indy Humane. Find your new best friend today. Visit indyhumane.org.
Never miss your favorite shows on WIBC. Get your content to go. Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey, Hammer and Nigel, Tony Kennett, The Gun Guy, Home and Garden. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Your rights, your responsibilities, your guns. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'll tell you what, we only got about a minute and a half before we need to break at the top of the hour, but Annie's been on hold forever. Annie, sorry to keep you holding, but welcome to the Gun Guy Show.
Hi, Guy. I just want to quickly see if you could relate my favorite story about you. You had just given a weekend seminar on urban self-defense, and it was that Monday or Tuesday afterwards. In the middle of the afternoon, you were headed to the studio to do a show. I think, if I remember correctly, you said you were just using ATM when you heard a voice behind you saying, I want that, I'll take that. You turned around expecting to see somebody from your seminar laughing and joking at you, and it was this crazy wanting your cash, and he threatened to dust you. You got to the studio, you called the cops and found out they had reports earlier on him for threatening people with a hammer. Right. I don't think he did that to you.
Man, Annie, you remember that question. You remember that story really well. Yeah, you nailed it. Except I didn't teach the seminar. I actually took it as a student.
Oh, okay. Whatever happened to him? Did they pick him up, or did he just was let go for being a quote crazy?
Oh, no. And Annie, thanks so much. And man, you remembered that really well. Yeah, I took a class called Urban Encounters, Self-Defense, something along those lines. And it was all about people, accosting you in public. And then the exact same thing happened to me right here on the circle. You know, Annie, your answer is he got arrested. He got arrested for intimidation with a deadly weapon, and he did a substantial amount of time. And so it was a happy outcome. We're at the top of the hour. It's time to take a break. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Denny Smith here for Sundown Gardens in Westfield. Starting today, it's 30% or more off all nursery items in stock. You heard me right. Container trees, shrubs, and balled and burlapped items are at least 30% off. Visit the Garden Center for even deeper discounts. Looking to decorate for Halloween and Thanksgiving? Sundown Gardens can help you there, too. Save 30% off interior fall decor inside Miss Mary's gift shop. Enjoy fall and save at Sundown Gardens, 186th Street and Spring Mill Road, sundown.gardens.com.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZzzQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
There's a price war in the insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call the Term Lifeline right now and see if you can save 40%. $500,000 plans and up, that's our specialty. Even great smokers' rates. Protect your family today. Call the Term Lifeline right now for a free quote. 866-509-TERM. 866-509-TERM. 866-509-TERM.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Hey y'all, I'm Blake Shelton. Being from Oklahoma, I know a thing or two about natural disasters. Tornadoes are common where I'm from and have affected my life and the lives of people I care about. No matter where you live, be aware of the dangers in your area and have a plan. You can create an emergency kit, come up with an evacuation plan, and know where to seek shelter. You never know when a disaster may hit. These simple steps can help save a life. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Broadcasting from the Technology Recycler Studios, this is Indy's Mobile News, 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. The news starts now.
Push. I'm Paul Stevens, Fox News. Former President Donald Trump making 2 campaign stops today in North Carolina, telling a crowd at the early stop in Gastonia what he'll do for the nation if he's elected again on Tuesday.
I've come today with a message of hope for all Americans. With your vote on Tuesday, I will end inflation. I will stop the invasion of massive numbers of criminals that have come into our country.
He is set to return to North Carolina tonight for a rally in Greensboro. Meantime, during a rally in Atlanta today, Vice President Kamala Harris criticizing the former president for the Supreme Court's overturn of Roe v. Wade in 2022, ending federal protections for abortion rights.
When he was president, Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention they would undo the rights under Roe v. Wade. And they did as he intended in Atlanta. Now in America, 1 in 3 women lives in a state with a Trump abortion ban.
And the former president has said he's not in favor of a national abortion ban, saying the overturn opens the door for states to individually decide what works best for them. President Joe Biden returning to his hometown of Scranton, Pennsylvania, where he appeared at a Harris Walz campaign event. He criticized former President Trump and his stances on the Affordable Care Act with a message to those who want it repealed.
Trump wants to take it away. This is not personal. This is the facts. Facts. He wants to take away the Affordable Health Care Act. That would have a devastating impact on the kids you grew up with, the people you grew up with. Don't forget where you came from.
The former president calling for terminating the Affordable Care Act during his first run for the White House in 2016. America's listening to Fox News.
Interesting people are talking to Will Kane.
I said, what do I call you? I call you Dwayne. I call you The Rock. He said, now that I own it, I can call you The Rock.
Yes, I own it now. You can call me The Rock.
Our next guest needs no introduction. It is Dr. Jordan Peters, my old friend and frenemy, Stephen A. Smith.
What is going on here? I see the Will Kane show in the background. I see the microphone.
Watch it live at noon Eastern, Monday through Thursday on FoxNews.com. And get the podcast 5 days a week at FoxNewsPodcasts.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts. From the Fox News Podcasts Network, the Fox News Rundown, a contrast of perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. Your daily dose of news twice a day, going far beyond the headlines, tapping into the massive reporting resources of Fox News to provide a full picture of the news of the day.
I'm Dana Perino.
I'm Brett Baer.
I'm Maria Bartiromo.
I'm Brian Kilmeade, and this is the Fox News Rundown.
Subscribe and listen now by going to FoxNewsPodcasts.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
The U.S. Supreme Court deciding to...
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
What the numbers mean for you. I'm Ryan Hedrick. Here's what's trending this hour. You may have heard the White House blames hurricanes and labor strikes for a disappointing jobs report. Donnie Burgess reports one financial expert says that isn't the full story.
This is political spin trying to explain away the bad numbers so you won't look at the bad numbers.
UND economist Dr. Matt Will tells Tony Katz today having only 12,000 new jobs added last month is not a sign of a growing economy.
The employment's been going up. Every month, more people employed. This month, 368,000 people fewer employed than last month.
Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
One person is dead. Another one is injured in a Friday night shooting on the city's northeast side. Police were called out along North LaSalle Street. That's where they found the victims lying. That's near West 38th, which is to the north. IMPD is looking into this. The Fever's new head coach is already familiar with Indiana. Here's Harrison Silcox.
That's because she played high school, college, and professional ball all in the Hoosier State. Stephanie White, whose latest coaching gig was with the Connecticut Sun, was Indiana Miss Basketball while at Seeger High School. She won a national championship with Purdue in 1999 and played for the Fever during their first year in the WNBA. She was the team's assistant coach when they won their first WNBA crown in 2012 and was the head coach with the Fever when they were finalists in 2015. Harrison Silcox, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
On the level, on the go, and at WIBC.com. Now, here's your forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Tomorrow, clouds will be increasing throughout the day as a warm front crosses the state. Spot shower can't be ruled out later on, but most will remain dry, high temperatures in the lower 70s. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
Research shows smoking costs Indiana businesses $3.1 billion every year. It also shows that an extra $2 per pack tax on cigarettes would drastically reduce smoking, which could save lives, create jobs, and infuse the state of Indiana with hundreds of millions of dollars annually. Read the reports from the Richard M. Fairbanks Foundation at thepriceofsmoking.org and see for yourself how an extra $2 per pack tax on cigarettes can have a positive impact on Hoosiers.
At Shane Company, we'll help you create a ring as unique as your love story. We have the biggest selection of diamonds in all shapes and sizes, and center stones in an array of colors, including sapphires in blue, pink, green, lavender, and more. Just the other day, a couple picked out a blue sapphire that perfectly matched her eyes, and they left knowing her ring was truly one of a kind. That's what happens at Shane Company. Come check us out. You might just fall in love with something unexpected. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Don't stress about plumbing repairs. Call LD Smith for honest advice and a free second opinion on any estimate.
LD Smith Plumbing.
A dirty, stinking honest.
Through their service, veterans have our backs. Now we should have theirs. Learn more at GotYour6.org.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the Second Amendment. And this is the Gun Guy.
Boom, 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 boom. Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom. Bang, bang, bang.
With Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back for hour number 2 of the Gun Guy Show here on 93 WIBC. And, you know, over the break, I was kind of chuckling at Annie's call because... You know, I opened the show tonight talking about this idea of staying dangerous, and I recited a quote out of the movie Act of Valor that where a guy writing a letter said that his dad had told him that one of the terrible things about growing old was that other men stopped seeing you as dangerous, and it's really funny because, and I'm sure this is why Annie called with this story, because and we were kind of up against the break at the top of the hour, but the story that Annie very accurately recited is that I had taken a class. It was actually called Street Encounters Skills and Tactics, and it a little over a year ago, and it was with a great instructor named John Murphy. And John's out there on social media. You can find him. He actually travels around the country teaching different classes at all different skill levels. And the people that were in this class were, I'd say, well above average. in terms of skill level, there were 3 or 4 other instructors. It was a small class. There were probably only a dozen of us or so. But it was just what it sounds like, street encounter skills and tactics. It was about, where you're potentially confronted on the street. You have an encounter on the street where, first of all, you have to make a decision. There's a lot of decision-making involved in terms of assessing the threat and then deciding on an appropriate response. And it was really interesting because the class was almost all scenarios. And I love doing scenario training where you're confronted with different situations and you have to decide how to deal with that situation based on the level of threat. And there's a legal component to this, which is in Indiana, in most places, you can only use reasonable force in self-defense. And reasonable is often defined, as it is here in Indiana, to be proportionate to the threat against you. So that, and by the way, I could go on for the entire rest of the show just on that concept. That's why I teach a 5-hour class on, I call it Essentials of Indiana Gun Law. It's self-defense law is the primary component of that course. So I can only use an appropriate level of force. I don't want to use more force than what's necessary. One, because I don't have that in my heart, but secondly, because it's not legal. If it's not proportionate to the level of the threat, it's not reasonable under the circumstances. And that's the test for the use of force in self-defense. So this course involved a lot of decision-making, and sometimes the correct response was to do nothing, to walk away, or to let someone disengage. Other times it was to use less lethal, and the course actually involved the use of OC spray. A lot of people talk about mace and whatnot. OC spray is a little more potent than I think that the traditional concept of mace as it was produced and manufactured and commercialized. But and we learned how to appropriately and effectively deploy OC spray. We had these little trainers. It was awesome. They had just squirted water, but we learned how you essentially make a Z pattern across the top of the eyes, down across the eyes, down below the nose, and back across the nose. So you're getting the OC spray where it needs to be, which is in the eyes and up the nostrils. And then other times, as a situation called for, you'd have to pull your gun and use deadly force. And the course was really interesting because it was done. The instructor had this dummy that was on a remote where he could actually run this, and it was a ballistic dummy that you could actually shoot. It was shaped like a man with a T-shirt on it, and the whole deal. And you could shoot it. And there were times when the thing came rushing at you, and you had to get your gun out and defend yourself in the appropriate amount of time before you got hurt. But it was a lot of decision making and a lot of great tactics in terms of creating distance and moving at angles so as to disadvantage your antagonist. But it all, at the end of the day, involved having the capacity to defend yourself whatever the level of threat there was. And if it in fact escalated to the point where you needed to use deadly force, then you had to exercise and demonstrate the capacity to do so. And so this is a weekend course, Saturday and Sunday. And by the way, why did I take that course? I've been an instructor for 30 some years. Why did I take that class as a student? Because I was intrigued by the agenda. I was intrigued by the curriculum. I had not taken a course from John Murphy before. I'd heard really, really good things about John Murphy as an instructor. And at the end of the day, it's because I want to make sure that stay dangerous, right? That's what we're talking about. That's why Annie's call was so well placed. And it was really interesting because it was all scenarios all weekend. And by the way, the street encounters, a lot of the scenarios that we ran all weekend started off with what? Hey man, got any money? Hey dude, give me some money. Or there were, scenarios like a hypothetical gas station. Hey man, nice car. Can I look inside? Hey dude, I ran out of gas, man. Can you give me some money? And some guy's walking up on you, right? It doesn't mean you pull your gun and shoot them, but you start assessing the threat. And you start giving yourself options on how you could respond if that, in fact, turns out to be a threat. And listen, do 99% of the times you hear on the street, and hey, I'm right downtown, and I don't know, I haven't really gone out and done an assessment of how many homeless people we have wandering around downtown. I have a guess that since we have the Swifties in town and a lot of media focused on downtown because of that we may have done a better job of cleaning up downtown than we traditionally do under the Hogsett administration, who lets an incredible amount of homelessness and frankly, people who ought to be institutionalized and frankly, people who are dangerous walking around here and doing any number of untold things right here on the streets and sidewalks of downtown Indianapolis. I see it every time I come down here. So I haven't gone out, but do the vast majority of the times you hear something like, hey, man, give me some money. Is that completely innocuous? Is that non-dangerous? Yeah. But at the same time, do you want to pay attention? Do you want to have your situational awareness engaged? Do you want to be assessing what potential threats might be there? Yeah, that's what situational awareness is all about. And the story that Annie told is really interesting, and it fits right into the discussion. And no, Annie was not a plant. I did not ask her to call. But I came down here actually to do Monday Gun Day on Hammer and Nigel. It was on a Monday, so I had just taken this class, Saturday and Sunday. And I got down here a little early, and we do that segment at 3:35. And I got down here about 2:45, and I hadn't eaten all day. I was starving. Hadn't had lunch, hadn't had breakfast. And I love Potbelly subs over right on the Circle. And I don't get them very often. And I thought, man, I'm starving, and Potbelly subs is right here on the Circle. I'm going to run over there. So I ran over, and I got a big old turkey sub that was fabulous and kind of wolfed it down. And I look at my watch, and I'm like, oh, hell, I got to get over and do radio. So I'm walking back around, and I walk past the Hilbert Circle Theater. I think we still call it the Hilbert Theater after the financial difficulties of the Hilberts. But at any rate, I was walking by the Circle Theater, and I heard, hey, man, give me some money. And I started laughing because I thought it was somebody who was in my class, because I just been doing this all weekend. Hey, man, give me some money. And then you got to turn around. You got to figure out what's going on. You got to potentially engage a threat. And so I start chuckling, and I start looking around. And by the way, I don't know if you know this, if I've mentioned it on the air before, but I'm totally deaf in my left ear. I know it's not from shooting guns. I'm right-handed, so if it was from shooting guns, I would guess it'd be my right ear, not my left. I was born that way, or at least that way from a very early age, because the very first hearing test I ever had in grade school, like first grade, I'm in a little booth, and I got the headphones on, and the lady says, raise the hand when you hear the beep on the side you hear it. And I'm just sitting there raising my right hand, just one time after the other. And she actually came in and jiggled the wires on the left side of my headset. And she went back out, and it got to the point where I could literally feel the vibration on the left side. It was so loud. I could feel like the sort of buzzing or humming. I couldn't hear the tone, but I could feel it. I could feel the vibration. And they called my parents. And I was like, "Oh my goodness, your son is hearing, significantly hearing impaired." I was like, "No, I'm not. I can sit here and hear this conversation just fine," because I always thought my right ear was good to go, and it was. I didn't realize I was deaf in my left. But at any rate, when you're deaf in one ear, you can't tell the direction of sounds very well. You hear it. You can't tell where it's coming from, because how you tell the direction of sounds is your brain triangulates between your two ears. Well, you can only hear out of one ear. Everything sounds like it's coming from your right side. And so I hear this, hey man, give me some money, in a pretty aggressive tone. And I start chuckling, because I'm absolutely sure it's somebody from my class, because I've been doing this all weekend. And by the way, was I carrying OC spray? Yes. Was I carrying a gun? Yes. But that wasn't my initial thought, that any of that was even relevant, because I think it's somebody joshing with me, because I just done this all weekend. So and again, when you can't hear out of one ear, sometimes when you can't tell the direction of where something's coming from, you just sort of start doing a slow 360. You kind of have to guess where to go first, what direction. And I turn around and I see this guy who's coming out from against the wall into the canopy in front of the Hilbert Circle Theater, and he's charging at me, and he's got a pretty aggressive look on his face. And I'd say this guy's early 40s, something like that. And he's wearing a gray T-shirt and jeans and tennis shoes, slightly disheveled. I wouldn't necessarily have guessed he was homeless. And, kind of a military-style haircut. 6 foot, 6'1", 175, 180 pounds. And so he's not totally menacing. He looks relatively fit. I see no weapons, by the way, when I first saw him. And I'm looking at this guy, and he's walking up on me, and then he uses the MF term, goes, "Hey, MF, give me some money." And I just looked at him, and I engaged him square in the eye, and I said, "No." And I turned back around. I started walking. I'm walking back toward the studio here on the Circle. But I'm watching him over my shoulder, obviously. You don't want to turn your back on a potential threat like that. And the guy starts cussing me out worse. And he starts calling me more names. And then he starts threatening me. "Dude, give me some money or I'm going to," and Andy got it exactly right. "I'm going to dust you. And then, dude, I'm going to kill you. Come back here. Give me some blank money." And as I'm walking along, I'm watching him over my shoulder, and I think, well, he's going to give up. He's going to stop, but he didn't. In fact, he started walking faster. He started trying to close the distance, at which point I thought to myself, I'm not going to allow this guy to walk up from behind me, so I turned back around. I was carrying a gun in the appendix position, and all I did is I reached under my shirt, and I put my right hand on my gun, at which point I said an unpleasant thing to him. I held my hand up, and I said, "Get the blank back." And in that moment, I actually said a little prayer. It was really funny because, until and look, was there an imminent threat of death or great bodily harm? No, there wasn't. I just had some dude who was threatening me. He was still a good 15 feet or so away. And yeah, there's this so-called 21-foot rule, yada, yada. We can talk about that here in a minute. But I actually said a little prayer in my mind right then. I said, "Please, God, don't make me have to shoot this guy." It's really funny. Gun owners get portrayed as, bloodthirsty bunch walking around with guns just itching to get the chance to shoot somebody. I actually had no desire to shoot this dude. And I literally said a little prayer, "Please, Lord, don't make me have to shoot this guy." But in that moment, could I have got my gun out and shot him before he got to me? Yes, I could. Why am I confident in that? Because I've trained in that scenario, and I know how fast I can get the gun out and put shots on target accurately. I know because I've trained. I've trained other people how to do it. And in that moment, I was dangerous. Now, he obviously didn't see me as being sufficiently dangerous so as to not accost me to begin with, which, by the way, later on I was really disappointed about. Hold on, man. I'm 6'4", 230 pounds. I'm walking along, and I didn't have to be in court or anything that day. I'm wearing jeans and a T-shirt. Got a whole big armful of tattoos showing. 6'4", 230, and I'm the guy he decides to come across on the sidewalk. I was very disappointed in that because clearly this guy did not see me as dangerous. Now, I'd like to think that's just because he's crazy, but I was very disappointed in that later on. But it factors directly into the discussion. But the point is, was I dangerous in that moment? Yeah. Could I have deployed deadly force on this guy if it came to that? Yes. Could I have given him a face full of OC spray? You betcha. And that would have been my first option because that's where my left hand was. But it's good to have that capacity. It's just exactly like having a gun generally. Being dangerous, it's just like having a gun. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And that fits perfectly into the discussion. I didn't plan on telling that story, but thanks for Annie for calling in and bringing it up. I'm way past the quarter hour. It's time to take a break. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
This is it.
This is it.
This is it.
Election night 2024.
The most important election.
Real change.
Incredibly pivotal moment.
Insight, analysis, opinion.
The results.
Complete election day coverage.
Never been anything like
the American people.
Drill, baby, drill.
Tuesday, November 5th, election night and beyond.
So just the beginning.
Choose 93 WIBC, your election information station.
Guy Relford for Tactical Firearms Training. And our most popular class is Essentials of Indiana Gun Law. And we've got one coming up a week from today, November 9th, out at Parabellum Firearms and Indoor Range, located in Avon. It's from 9 a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. This is 5 hours, the most important legal information you need as an Indiana gun owner. We still have a few seats available. It's $50 for an individual, $95 for couples. We'd love to see you there. You can sign up right online at tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses at tactical-firearms.com.
Your business needs a network it can count on.
Power's out.
Comcast Business has you covered with Wi-Fi backup to help keep your business up and running, even when your power goes out.
Everybody in the warehouse good? Lights are out, but the Wi-Fi's up. Let's power on.
It's from the company with 99.9% network reliability.
Break room, you good?
Can't microwave my burrito, but Wi-Fi's fine. Let's power on.
Power on with the leader in connectivity, Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Learn how to get Comcast Business Internet and Security Edge plus Wi-Fi backup for $59 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement when you add Comcast Business Unlimited Mobile. And ask how to get up to a $600 prepaid card with a qualifying gig bundle. Don't wait. Call or go online today. Ends 11/17/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 300 megabit per second internet, Security Edge, and Wi-Fi backup. Eagle bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra and subject to change.
Guy Relford here. Time again for the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show this coming weekend at the State Fairgrounds, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There's never been a more important time to exercise our rights as true Americans. It's the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show. See the best in sporting, hunting, and personal protection gear, plus great displays of Americana. Come see us this weekend at the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show, Friday 2 to 7, Saturday 9 to 6, and Sunday 9 to 4. It's the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show. See you there.
Students who can read by the end of 3rd grade are 35% more likely to graduate. I'm Dr. Katie Jenner, Indiana Secretary of Education, here to tell you how reading 30 minutes per day can improve the trajectory of a child's life. Whether you are reading with your child or they are reading independently, this is one of the most important things you can do to help them succeed. So this school year, please encourage your child to continue reading. It's a small habit that makes a big difference.
Sponsored by the Indiana Department of Education and aired by this station.
Hey, Dad?
Yeah, bud?
I'm too afraid to tell him what I saw, what I sent, what I downloaded.
You can't help what you don't know. Tell the teens in your life they can talk to you about what's happening online.
Hey, you can tell me anything, right?
Yeah, I know. We need to talk.
Learn more about online safety at InternetCrimesAgainstKids.com. A message from the Indiana Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, sponsored by the Indiana State Police.
Earn, save, grow. It's time your money works harder and goes further with a Stockyards Bank and Trust CD. For a limited time, earn 5.15 annual percentage yield with our 5-month CD special. Proudly serving our communities since 1904. Visit any of our 5 Indianapolis area locations or syb.com/IndyCD today and experience the Stockyards Bank difference. 10,000 minimum balance required. Limited time offer. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Go with your gut. Your dog's immune system is based in the gut. A diet lacking in nutrients can cause itching, scratching, and a weak immune system. However, there is a solution. DINOVITE. Dinovite.
It took a grand total of 2 weeks. The dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out.
Try Dinovite for free. Just pay shipping and handling. Learn more at dinovite.com/radio.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dinovite.
Hi, this is Richard Stevenson. Need heating service in Johnson, Morgan, or Hendricks County? Give us a call, 317-557-8532.
Stevenson Heating and Cooling is your independent American Standard air dealer.
Find the path to recovery that works for you. Learn more at cdc.gov/stopoverdose.
Now you've got a gun guy. Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. So how do we do this? We're getting older. A lot of us are. Hell, I'm damn old already. 67 today. How about that? And this idea of staying dangerous, it's important to me. It's important to me. I don't know whether it's part of my self-image. To me, I consider it to be an obligation as a husband, as a father, as a grandfather, as just a member of the community. Not to get too philosophical about it, but, you go back to the Second Amendment itself. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms should not be infringed. And the Supreme Court has gone through and it's resolved all the petty disputes that people have about the meaning of the Second Amendment. People say, oh, well, it says a well-regulated militia. Regulated, that means regulated by the government. No, it doesn't. It means like a well-regulated clock keeps proper time. Regulated just means properly trained, equipped. It can do its job. It can do what it's intended to do. Well, militia, that's a member of the military. If you're not in the National Guard, you have no rights under the Second Amendment. No. In 1791, when the Second Amendment was ratified, the militia was the general population that could be called up in the defense of the country. And it was you and it was me. That's who the militia was. It was the general population. It's not dependent on any kind of military service. Supreme Court has resolved this. We don't have to dispute that anymore. When some knucklehead on social media says, oh, you're a gun owner, what militia are you in? Just refer them to Heller versus D.C., 2008, Supreme Court of the United States, and they can answer that question for themselves if they're willing to read a little bit. So it's saying that a well-trained and equipped general population is necessary to the security of a free state. That means you and I, to the extent that we are properly trained and equipped, I mean, that is well-regulated, are necessary to the security of a free state. Let's break that down a little bit. Necessary to the security of the state. Well, what do they mean there? Can the general population be called upon to defend the country from foreign adversaries? Well, of course. Just like the militia stood next to the Continental Army during the War for Independence and did again in the War of 1812. And the concept is one, and this often gets attributed to Admiral Yamamoto, although there's a dispute as to whether he really said it or not. I prefer to believe that he did. But there was a time before he was killed, shot down by a P-39, as I recall, over the Philippines, if I remember that correctly. But before he was killed, Yamamoto was getting a bunch of grief back in Japan because after the devastation of the American fleet of Pearl Harbor, essentially Japan had an open window, had open access to the west coast of California. I said, when you had the chance, why didn't you invade mainland United States on the west coast? Because the U.S. fleet was devastated. You had a clear path. You should have invaded from L.A. to San Francisco. Why didn't you? And the quote attributed to Admiral Yamamoto was, I would never invade mainland United States. There'd be a rifle behind every blade of grass. And he's not talking about the United States Army. He's talking about you and me and our rifles and how we are, in his words, or to capture his thought, necessary to the security of the United States of America. So the founders right there in the Second Amendment said you and I are necessary to the security of this country. And this term well-regulated becomes so damn important, and it fits in so perfectly with the whole concept of what we're even talking about tonight. Being dangerous. You're not well-regulated if you're not dangerous. You're not dangerous unless you're well-regulated. What does that mean? It means being properly trained and equipped. What does trained and equipped mean? We'll get into that more as the show goes on. To the extent we have time. I always look at the clock and go, whoa, we don't have as much time as I thought I did. But not just security of the country, security of a free state. Why did founders put both those words in the Second Amendment? Necessary to the security of a free state. Why did they put the word free in there? Well, they just fought a war against a tyrannical government. not so long ago, so many of our founders signed the Declaration of Independence, said, "Dear King George, here's why we're cutting ties with you. Here's why we're forming our own country. Because this form of government has come to be adverse to our interests as free people. You've tried to impose tyranny upon us. We will not subject ourselves to that. We will not allow you to subject us to that. We will fight a war to gain our freedom against tyranny. And the last thing the founders would ever want to have happen is to be subjected to another tyrannical government, whether it was 5,000 miles away or 30 miles away in Washington, D.C. And so not only is a well-armed militia, that means me and you being well-regulated, that's trained and equipped, being necessary not only for the security of this country, but to maintain our freedoms we have in this country. How incredibly important is that? How incredibly important is that? And that's just the broader view. Now let's boil it right down to someone kicks your door in the middle of the night. In that moment, and I don't know, I would imagine that people throughout this show hearing me talk about dangerous, probably sitting there rolling their eyes. Some people, I don't know, you're tuning into the Gun Guy Show for the first time and you're thinking, oh yeah, here's some 67-year-old old dude who's just trying to resurrect the masculinity of his younger days by thinking of himself as dangerous. Listen, I don't care how old you are. Your door gets kicked in the middle of the night, glass breaks in the middle of the night, somebody's climbing through a window. What do you need to be in that moment? Damn dangerous. Dangerous. And a lot of us, if you listen to the show, there's a good chance you think along these same lines. See it as our obligation to our community and certainly to our families, to our loved ones, to have that capacity to, in fact, be dangerous. Right now, we're taking a break. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
This is it.
This is it.
This is it.
Election night 2024.
The most important election.
Real change.
Incredibly pivotal moment.
Insight, analysis, opinion.
The results.
Complete election day coverage.
Never been anything like
the American people.
Drill, baby, drill.
Tuesday, November 5th, election night and beyond.
It's all just the beginning.
Choose 93 WIBC, your election information station.
JMV here. Miss Sims Home and Garden has everything you need to finish fall outright. Come find the best fall selection of nursery stock in Johnson County and save when you buy. Miss Sims has 30 to 50% off trees and shrubs. That's right, all trees and shrubs at least 30% off. Enjoying all the fall colors around your area. Add them to your landscape now for color this fall and next season as well. Miss Sims, located on State Road 135 south of Whiteland Road in Bargersville.
When it's time to renovate, it's time to call Booher, B-O-O-H-E-R, BooherRemodeling.com, because it's about the process. It's about dealing with professionals who are with you every step of the way, communicating how things work. The best craftsmen and professionals who have been doing kitchens and bathrooms in Indianapolis for 2 decades. Talk to Booher Remodeling today about how they work and why it will work for you and your new kitchen. Call 317-852-5546, 852-5546, or online at Booher, B-O-O-H-E-R, BooherRemodeling.com.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZzzQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
We need each other because every someone needs someone else.
We need each other because when we work together, we can do so much more.
We connect more children with what they need to grow up healthy, educated, and safe. And that's what Child Fund is all about.
Because when you make someone's world better, you make everyone's world better.
Child Fund, because we need each other.
Learn more at childfund.org. That's childfund.org.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by Stevenson Heating and Cooling, your independent American Standard air dealer in Mooresville.
Fox News, I'm Kathleen Maloney. With the election just 3 days away, the two presidential candidates are making their final pitches to voters in those all-important battleground states. Vice President Kamala Harris in Charlotte, North Carolina.
I pledge to you that if you give me the chance to fight on your behalf as president, there is nothing in the world that will stand in my way.
Former President Trump also campaigning in North Carolina today, but first joining Fox and Friends Weekend and commenting on foreign policy.
Russia never would have gone into Ukraine if I were president. Never, not even a chance. October 7th never would have happened because Iran was broke. They had no money.
The former president will hold a rally in Greensboro, North Carolina tonight. America is listening to Fox News.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. GI Bill, SkillBridge, and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-791-1313. That's 800-791-1313.
Paid for by Wesley Financial Group.
Emmer and Nigel here, inviting you to join us as we kick off the weekend every Friday around 5:45 with Beer Sample Friday, brought to you by our friends at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
You let him try violin because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures. Learn more at helpnokidhungry.org.
Second to none on the Second Amendment. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. By the way, I just glanced over, looked at my phone, and I'm happy to see the Indiana Hoosiers are winning against Michigan State 47-10. When I was driving down here to the studio, Michigan State was up 10-0. I was thinking, oh man, this undefeated season for IU football. And by the way, how hard is that to even get your head around? Undefeated season for IU football. Might be in jeopardy, but IU's now scored 47 unanswered. So, hey, just heads up to anybody out there if you were interested. Looks like with 5 minutes to go in the game, Indiana's going to pull that off. That's awesome. I went to Indiana University Law School, although here in Indianapolis, my oldest son went to IU. And so we've been big IU fans from day one. And, man, to see IU football doing what they're doing is fun to see. But, hey, more germane to this broadcast this evening, talking about being dangerous. And listen, all of us, in thinking about that concept, can think, man, I got a lot to work on. I think about that every day. I mean, I've been a firearms instructor for a long time. And I've taken a lot of training in a lot of other areas. But one thing that's really come to mind here recently, as I've gotten older, and obviously I'm contemplating my old age here today as I turn 67. Whew, gosh, that sounds old. Is the physical part of it. And, I just noticed it. I went to the indoor range at Indy Arms. My favorite indoor range in town. I like the lighting. I like the ventilation. And listen, I teach classes there, so we've had a long relationship. And so, full disclosure. But I love the ventilation. The air is moving around. That's what you need in an indoor range. It's well lit. You can see your target. You can see your sights. But I was there shooting AR. I'm shooting my new Rock 15 from Rock Up Defense. I love this rifle. I don't just promote them here on the radio, man. I'm an owner, and this rifle is the nicest AR I own, and I own some high-end ARs. But I went in, and I just went on my lunch hour, and I wanted to shoot 100 rounds of ammo. And I've got this gun equipped the way I want it. I've got a light on it. I've got a vertical foregrip on it. I've got a suppressor on it. Yeah, it's an SBR. It's got a short barrel. It's got a 12.5-inch barrel now after Rock Up Defense helped me upgrade it. And I would not call it a heavy rifle at all. I haven't weighed it since I've finished the way I want it with a suppressor and the optic and the sights. I guess it's somewhere in the 6.5, 7 pounds range. If I had to guess, it's not a particularly heavy rifle. And I went in there just to shoot 100 rounds. And I was shooting unsupported. When I sighted it in, originally I used a bipod, quick detachable bipod, just to zero my optics. But then I take that off. That's not something I'm going to carry around on an AR. So I'm just there free-handed, shot 100 rounds, and shot up close, shot at a distance. I was checking my sight over bore adjustments, which is where you're adjusting for the fact that your optic, if you're running an optic, is some distance above the bore of your rifle. So if you're shooting up close, you need to compensate for that. So I'm just making sure I'm competent in all those things. And I only shot 100 rounds. Man, I've gone to the range before with a very similar rifle and shot 200, 300, 400, 500 rounds. It gets a little expensive with the price of ammo. But I got to tell you, at about round 60 or so, my third magazine I put in this thing, I'm sitting there going, this thing's starting to feel kind of heavy. And it's not because the rifle's heavy. The rifle's not heavy. It's incredibly well made. It's a nice light rifle. It's because I've lost strength over the years. And holding that rifle and having it, tucked up firmly against my shoulder, pulling it back into my shoulder with my support hand, all the ways you're supposed to maintain your 4 points of contact on a rifle, your cheek, your shoulder, and your 2 hands. As I was doing all of that and focusing on my fundamentals, and I was shooting damn well. This is the most accurate AR I've ever owned. But I'm sitting there going, this thing's starting to feel heavy to me. And I had to chastise myself and say, well, it's not a heavy rifle. Why is it feeling heavy to you? And I went, oh, damn. I'm just getting older, and I've lost a lot of strength. And there's this big component that I think that we can't lose sight of. And listen, we all have, especially as we get older. I'm all beat up, whether it's from playing football or maybe a motorcycle incident or two over the years. I'm like most people my age. I'm beat up a little bit. Got some things that are broken or torn or not quite the way they're supposed to be. And you feel those things. But man, that's another reason to get in the gym. And not necessarily the gym. It's another reason to get on the ground, man. Get on the floor, push-ups, sit-ups, whatever it might be. But the physical component, because it's not just relative to, you have to go hands-on with somebody. It's even a big part of being, I think, well-trained, well-versed, very effective with a firearm. Just the physical component of it. I've noticed that more athletic people that are stronger, people with more hand strength, arm strength, people that are more stable because they have leg strength, they're going to be better shots. And there is a legitimate reason, man, to get back in the gym, or again, not necessarily the gym, get on the floor. And that's a big part of it. Then the training component. I'm going to talk more about that here after this break. What should that training involve? To the extent that you're not where you want to be on your dangerousness scale, wherever it is you want to be, What should you be looking at? What should you be focused on? We'll talk about that as well when we come back. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
93 WIBC.
4 days till the election.
On day one, I will launch the largest deportation program.
I pledge to you to always put country above party and self.
64 million Americans who already voted early, setting records in some states.
Hear the news.
Over 200,000 more people are expected in downtown Indianapolis this weekend to see Taylor Swift, and that means a lot of people walking around at a small space.
93 WIBC Mobile News.
Guy Relford for Tactical Firearms Training. Our most popular class is Essentials of Indiana Gun Law, and we got one of those coming up this Saturday, a week from today, November 9th, at Parabellum Firearms and Indoor Range, 9 a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m., $50 for an individual, $95 for couples. We'd love to see you there. This is 5 hours, the most important legal information you need as an Indiana gun owner. When you can use force in self-defense, when you can use deadly force in self-defense, how to avoid commonly prosecuted crimes, like criminal recklessness with a deadly weapon, intimidation with a deadly weapon, pointing a firearm, which is a crime in Indiana. All that and a whole heck of a lot more. 5 hours, the most important legal information you need as an Indiana gun owner. You can sign up right online to come out to Parabellum Firearms and Indoor Range in Avon, 9 a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. This coming Saturday on the 9th. Sign up at tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses at tactical-firearms.com.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Looking for a great place to go for car care?
Hi, this is Lonnie Hinkle from Jiffy Lube, and I'd like to share the top 5 reasons that every Hoosier should trust Jiffy Lube to help keep their car running safe and well. Number 5, our computer system holds the maintenance data for every make and model. We know exactly what your car needs and when it needs to be done. Number 4, Jiffy Lube's training system is in the Training Magazine Hall of Fame. Along with companies like Ritz-Carlton, Starbucks, and Nordstrom's, our team does the job right. Number 3, you never need an appointment. We are ready to serve you whenever it works best for you, so come on in and see us. Number 2, Jiffy Lube accepts competitor coupons so you can get our great service at the desperate price of our competitors. And number 1, Jiffy Lube is a one-stop maintenance shop, and we make it easy for you to take great care of your car. Avoid the repair shop by getting your maintenance done at Jiffy Lube. And we now offer brakes, tires, tune-ups, and minor repairs at most stores.
So head to Jiffy Lube. There's really no reason to take your car anywhere else.
At Shane Company, we make finding your perfect engagement ring fun and easy. Because let's be honest, you might feel a little stressed out. We get it. That's why we do all the hard stuff. It's our job to bring you the biggest selection of beautiful diamonds and colorful gemstones, so many amazing settings, and all the customization your heart desires. We've got your style and your price range covered, and we're here to guide you every step of the way. Come in for a warm welcome and leave with your dream ring and an experience you'll never forget. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Eligible Hoosiers, listen up. You can trust that our elections are safe and secure. Be confident every step has been taken to protect your vote in Indiana. Your voice counts and your vote counts. Every vote is safe here in the Hoosier State. Be a part of Indiana's success as we continue to lead the way. This message is brought to you by your Indiana Secretary of State.
Meet Cheryl. Hey. She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's gotta be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank NA member FDIC.
We may be thousands of miles apart, but we can still connect. And when we do, we make things better. At Child Fund, we connect children all around the world with what they need to grow up healthy, educated, and safe. Together, we co-create connections that help millions of children who live in poverty worldwide, and their families, and their communities, and you. Join us. Together, we can make the world a better place. 2 small worlds at a time. Visit childfund.org to learn more.
Trans-Siberian Orchestra is making its way back to Gamebridge Fieldhouse on December 19th with an all-new show, The Lost Christmas Eve Tour. For tickets and more information, head to WIBC.com.
the show about gun rights, gun safety, and responsible gun ownership. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show for our final segment here. Listen, depending on your level of proficiency, and I teach, as you hear me pitch here on the show, I teach my gun law class. That's a group class. And listen, we can teach that to as many people as the conference room we're using can hold. But in my firearms actual shooting classes, rifle, pistol, and shotgun, I'm only doing those private lessons, basically one-on-one or with couples. I rarely will do like a family of 3 or so. But the reason I've moved to that platform, one, I don't do nearly as much of it as I used to. I just don't have time. With the law practice as busy as it is and doing radio, other things I have going on politically, I just really don't have much time for training. But one thing I love about doing the private classes with just 1 or 2 people most often is that we started off by sitting down for a few minutes in the classroom, off the range where it's nice and quiet, and just have a discussion. And I always start with, where are you now? Where are you now? And we're talking about firearms training. Obviously, so much more training, hand-to-hand, some level of proficiency, hand-to-hand, just general strength training, endurance training, cardiovascular is all so important. But on my end of things, on the firearms, I start with, where are you? What experience do you have? What's your comfort level? How much have you shot handguns? A lot of people very, very proficient with rifles, for instance. I've had a lot of people in the military come to me for training. I said, man, I'm hell with an M4, or I'm great, with an M40, or, flying a helicopter or driving a tank, but I've never really had any training with a handgun. And it's a whole different animal. And it is. It's a fundamentally different skill. A lot of it's translatable, trigger control, being light and gentle on the trigger, the rules of gun safety all translate. But it is definitely a different exercise. And so I love the idea of sitting down and assessing where someone is and then designing training around that. And by the way, this is not advertisement for me doing personal firearm training. I'm pretty much full on that right now. So that's not my point. But my point is, seek out that level of training that's right for you. And listen, I'm a training junkie as a student. I mean, I've been teaching for a long, long time, but I can't get enough at taking classes as a student. And by the way, on the physical side of things, I'll tell you this story. I went out and took a carbine. It was carbine and pistol, although it was probably 90% carbine, meaning, fighting rifle, AR-15, AK-47, that type platform. And I took it out in Gunsight out in Paulden, Arizona. And I think this is the all-time greatest training facility in the world. And it was a carbine class. And there was a whole lot of what they call alternative shooting platforms. What's that? That's where you get on the ground and you shoot prone, and then you pop up and shoot standing, and then you get down and shoot kneeling or squatting. And listen, in me, there was not a lot of popping up going on. Why? Because my old knees didn't hold up so well. And I learned the important component of physical training. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Xfinity here. How can we help?
Hi. My entire family's obsessed with all things Wicked, but my kids can't stop watching the trailer, and now they're having a Wicked-themed sleepover. Do you think our internet can handle all of the streaming and memeing?